Our last but not least contestant, Miss Preet D. She shall be talking to us about economic empowerment. Everybody, please join me in welcoming Preet. Sorry? Oh, okay. I saw this. Sorry.
Right.
Okay.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. This is my story and my reflections and my dream, recurring dream I had since my childhood. It goes something like this. I'm standing in the middle of a pool of quicksand. My hands and my legs are chained and I'm sinking. I cry countless tears in the hope that someone will come to my rescue and they will break these chains and set me free. Now, over the years, I've gradually understood the deeper meaning of this dream. Deep down in my heart, I was aware that there was something within me I had to change before any help arrived. I had to act. Curiously and interestingly, I also feel that this dream was part of my forthcoming destiny. My dream was demonstrating to me how I can convert the vision of the woman within an Asian culture as a liability to an asset by empowering ourselves. The woman empowering herself within an oppressive culture. I came to the UK as a 21-year-old bride, married to a British Indian man whose family treated me like a maid from the day one. That is not the honeymoon period a 21-year-old would expect. My new husband, now ex-husband, informed me that he's already in a relationship with another girl, so he's only married me because of the family pressures. What could I do? I knew if I raised these issues with my family back home, I would only get a backlash. One whole year of severe abuse passed by, in total confusion in my head, and then suddenly I decided to leave one day. I packed my bags and I called the police. While I waited for the police, I must have cried myself to sleep. While I slept, I had my childhood dream for the last time. However, this time, it had changed. Instead of crying in my dream this time, I was pulling hard at those chains and they suddenly broke. As soon as they broke, I touched the quicksand and it turned into lush green, fertile ground. I pulled myself out. I was not covered in sand. I was clean and fresh. I saw a beautiful but shiny sun and I walked towards it, feeling liberated and rejuvenated. Albert Einstein said, "We cannot solve the problems with the same level of thinking that created them." In my dream, those chains broke at a point when I started to realize that there was something within me had to shift, and it did shift. I converted myself from being a liability to an asset as I became an independent thinker by upgrading my thinking process. Nobody within my culture could look upon me as a liability anymore. I remember when I moved to London after being free from the abuse, my initial thoughts were, wow, I can do anything I want to in the whole world. I was too naive to see any limitations. I could only see the possibilities. Firstly, I chopped my 1 meter long hair. Then I got a belly button pierced. I had to express the rebellious side of me. I had to express the freedom, the liberty, the I after such a repression. I found myself engaged in this vision of me working in the city of London and wearing a business suit. And I worked hard on my vision. After sort of a year, and had some of the best business suits made, and I did realize my wildest dreams, and I ended up working for some of the best software companies in the world. I believe I was able to realize, manifest my vision, because I had broken free from those chains both in my dream and in reality. it took me hardships to understand that I had to challenge my own limiting beliefs and train myself to become self-sufficient. My vision has now expanded. Today, I feel I would not be looked upon as a liability within my own culture or looked down upon it by anybody as I became an independent thinker. I'm a daughter of India, apparently only supposed to be trained to be a good cook and a cleaner and expected to play a role of an obedient wife. My vision now is that I want to help women to redefine their thinking process and break free from those chains of the mind and the conditioning, whatever it may be. This will only happen when we learn to take care of our mind and our thinking process on a daily basis. Until we learn to take care of our mind, we will always be stuck through different situations. I understood that we have nearly 80,000 thoughts a day. The bigger challenge is that we have more 80,000 thoughts, similar 80,000 thoughts the next day. Mind is an inner faculty of our inner being. It's a function of the soul. Mind should not be in charge of our actions. We should not be a product of our own mind and follow it around wherever it takes us. Then we don't have our own personality, the inner, the true personality. If you think of an egg, if we break the egg from the outside, life finishes. But when it's broken from the inside, life begins. So when we understand to learn to live our truth from the inside, that's when we can truly take care of our mind and be true to our inner being. So today, I urge each one of you to break free from those conditioning of the mind and whatever it may be. And it's time for me to ask you a question. How do you envision your future, your destiny, after breaking free from those chains that mind has imprisoned you with? And my last reflective question, who is your servant? Who is the master? Is it you or is it your mind? Thank you.
I'd wrote something before, but
That's okay.
I would really be rather changing now. But anyhow, I'll go ahead with it. How do you see, I mean, you've emphasized the internal change effectively, but how do you see the momentum for change in woman's status and capacity to express herself? Do you see it an increasing momentum? Do you see it stuck? How do you see that sort of process of momentum?
My study has been a spiritual one. From last sort of 10 years, I have been studying different spiritual paths to understand. So my understanding will be that when we learn to really truly connect with our inner self, that's when we really raise our vibrational frequency, and then all the other issues started to resolve itself. So I feel we are in the middle of spiritual revolution. People are having their spiritual awakening, and even though they don't understand maybe, but they're still talking about spiritual values and embracing them and bringing them in their lives. So I feel it is increasing. I hear this from many young women. They are embracing this, and we are going through in the middle of spiritual revolution where people are learning to live life inside out rather than outside in, living a consumerism world. Thank you.